We're talking with head men's basketball coach Ricky Yahn. Coach, 2-2 so far this season. You started the season 2-0. Talk about the opening weekend and the positives you came from that.
Yeah, we got out to a good start. We played two opponents, and we felt like if we played the way we were capable of, that we'd be able to pick up some wins. I think those two games, we kind of talked about. We ended the weekend 2-0, but we're more interested in how we played and if we played the way we were capable of, and we felt like we went 1-1 that weekend. That the first game against IU Kokomo, we played the way we were capable of. We saw a lot of positive signs. And obviously got the win. In the second game against Villa Maria, I think we got away from ourselves a little bit. I think we got an early lead and thought we could coast to a win. And so we did some things that, even though it was a win, that we weren't that pleased with. So obviously we'd rather not play well and get a win than play well and get a loss. But at the same time, I think that was the biggest takeaway from that weekend. So our guys starting to get familiar with that process, that it's not just a win or a loss. It's evaluating, are we doing what we're committed to doing as a team.
This past week you had two similar games against Ohio Christian and Goshen, both games where it ended up falling apart or just slipped away in the second half. Talk about why that happened.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. They were both very similar games, different style of opponents. We had different type of preparation going into it. But in both games, we played really well at times. We played really well at stretches. Kind of similar again to like the previous week. We went 2-0 record-wise. Felt like we played one good game, one bad game, and then we were on the opposite end of that last week. Even though we went 0-2 record-wise, we felt like we played one good game, we played one bad game. Ohio Christian, for the most part, we really defended. They've got a kid that I don't know if he still is, but at the time was leading the country in scoring, was second in the country in three-pointers made, third in the country in assists. And you have to take your hat off. I mean, we made him work really, really hard for shots, and he made tough shot after tough shot. And he had, I think it was 32 or 33 points against us and maybe 8 assists. And just had an incredible individual effort and kind of willed them to a victory. We also, not to make excuses for ourselves, but we, at a critical moment in the game, I think it was a 2-point game or a 4-point game with about 6 minutes left, 4 of our 5 starters were all out of the game with an injury at the same time. And that early in the year, it was certainly tough to lose those guys at a critical point, and I think 2 of those guys didn't even return for the rest of the game. But again, they played really well. Ohio Christian definitely deserved that win. But then in the second game against Goshen, we played well at times, but we definitely didn't play up to our standard that we think we're capable of. And really, in both of those games last week, we kind of went through and charted the possessions for our guys, and in both games, for about 34 to 35 minutes of the game, we significantly outplayed both teams. We led for a large portion of the game. But in both games, in the first half of both games and then in the second half of both games, really right around the same point of both games, right around the 10 or 12 minute mark of each half, we were outscored 10-0, 11-0, 15-0, and 14-0 in those stretches. And that was really kind of the tail of the game, that all the hard work we did in the majority of the game, we allowed a couple of 1 or 2 minute bursts to cost us the game, and I think our guys are hopefully learning from that experience.
You open up conference play this Wednesday against Siena Heights. What are you guys working on to work through those and get a win this Wednesday?
Yeah, it presents some really good opportunity for us because the two things that Siena Heights is phenomenal at right now are probably the two things that have cost us our 2 games that we lost. We have not taken care of the ball well enough. We're turning the ball over on way too many of our possessions. It's why, even though we're shooting a really high percentage from the field, we're not scoring enough points to win because we're not keeping the ball enough. And Siena Heights is in the top, I think, 8 or 10 in the country in turnovers forced a game, at around like 23 or 24 a game. So they're forcing 23 or 24 a game. We're averaging like 19 turnovers a game ourselves. So that is something that, regardless of our opponent, we were going to need to work on. So I think it always works out well when like the biggest thing you need to work on for yourself is also like the biggest thing you need to work on to prepare for an opponent. Sometimes you have to work on 2 different things to get ready for a game. And then the other one is defensive rebounding. In our first 3 games, we were really, really good boxing out, going and getting the rebounds. In our game on Thursday, we lost to Goshen. We went the last 12 minutes of the game with only one defensive rebound when we obviously went from up 13 to losing the game during that stretch because we didn't rebound. And the same thing, I think Siena Heights is in maybe the top 6 in the country in offensive rebounds. They're getting 15 offensive rebounds a game. So like I said, it'd be much more difficult for us if we said, hey, here's 3 weaknesses we have. These are 3 things we really need to work on to improve as a team, and then turn around and also have 2 or 3 key areas that we need to prepare for as an opponent. We're fortunate that right now at this point in the season, those are kind of one and the same for us for today and tomorrow's practice.
Looking at Saturday, you'll be playing Cornerstone, who perennially has a good team. What's it going to take for you guys to upset them?
I think it'll take the same thing it'll take for us to beat Siena Heights, and it will be the same as it would take to beat Cornerstone, and I think really in all our games moving forward. I think we have really good scoring balance. Right now we have 5 guys averaging double figures. We're shooting the ball at a pretty good percentage from the field. We can make it a little bit better, or do a little bit better from 3-point territory, but our overall field goal percentage is pretty good. I think we're defending pretty well. We're giving up too many easy baskets off of turnovers because of how much we turn it over, but our half-court defense is pretty good. Our press has been pretty good. And so to me, whether you talk about a team like Siena Heights, or you talk about a team like Cornerstone that's in the top 10 in the country and has 2 top 5 wins right now and is playing really, really well, to me, I feel like if at the end of the game we look at our defensive rebounds and we look at our turnovers, and we did our job in those areas, I think we'll put ourselves in position to win a lot of games this year because we have the talent and we have the balance of inside and outside players to do it. But at the same time, we're definitely nowhere near good enough that if we give up 18 or 20 offensive rebounds and we turn the ball over 22, 23 times, there's very few teams we can beat. And so really I think whether you're talking about again Wednesday's game or Saturday's game, regardless of opponent, for us right now, those are the 2 areas that we have to take care of to win.
Good luck this week.
Thank you.